Hi everyone, welcome back to Math Tutoring. Today's lesson is on algebra and it's on simplifying complex fractions. Now say you're given something like the following example and you're asked to simplify. So if you're given something like 1 over x plus 1 over y all over x plus 1 over y. So if you're asked to simplify something like this, what you have to do is get a lowest common denominator. So now to simplify a question like this, there's more than one way to start this question. But what I'm thinking the best thing to do here is to first simplify the fractions on the top and then simplify the fractions on the bottom. So what you can do is you can get a lowest common denominator for the fractions over here, and that lowest common denominator would be xy. So in order to get that lowest common denominator, we would multiply the first fraction top and bottom by y, and then we'd multiply the second fraction top and bottom by x. And by doing this, we're not actually changing the fraction, because whatever you do to the top of the fraction, you have to do the same thing to the bottom, and same thing here. So because I'm multiplying the bottom by x and then I'm doing the same thing to the top, I'm not actually changing the fraction. And over here, because I'm doing the same thing to the bottom that I'm doing to the top, I'm not actually changing the fraction. Okay? Just going to put this one over 1. Now for here, and I can do that, since it's x, I can always write it over 1. Everything is over 1, it's just not written, we don't see it. So what I'm doing, the reason I did that is so that I can see this as a fraction, and then I can see what my lowest common denominator is between these two fractions, okay? So over here, my lowest common denominator is going to be y. So that means I only have to change the first fraction. I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by the first fraction by y. And when I do that, now I have two fractions with the same denominator, so I can go ahead and add them. Okay, so the next step, we're going to get y over xy plus x over, you can write it as yx or xy, it's the same thing. And then over here on the bottom I have xy over y plus 1 over y. Okay, so now I've got the two top parts here can be added because we've got the same denominator. So it's going to be y plus x over xy all over, and this here is going to be xy plus 1 all over y. Okay, so here we can write this as y plus x over xy times, okay, now actually we're running out of space, so I'm just going to I'll just go, so what I'm going to do here is actually just erase this to make some space for the rest of our answer. Okay, so continuing this, we have y plus x over xy divided by xy plus 1 over y. So then, so equals, this becomes y plus x over xy times, and then you flip the second fraction. Okay, so when you flip the second fraction, you get the following. Now over here, before I actually multiply these out, now this is part of another answer, so before I actually multiply these out, I can cancel out the y's. So then I get y plus x over x times xy plus 1. So I get y plus x over x squared y plus x. Yep, so that is our final answer. Okay, so that's how you would simplify something like the following. Okay, so a lot of steps, but pretty straightforward. Okay, we can try one more example. Let's try the following one. Simplify 21m squared minus 10 all over 7 over 5 minus 2 over 3m squared. Okay, so to simplify something like this, so what I would do first is eliminate the fraction here. And in order to do that, I need to get a common denominator. So I'm going to write it as 21m squared minus 10 over. So here, my lowest common denominator is 15m squared. So in order to get that, I just multiplied these two together to figure it out. The lowest common denominator, the smallest number that divides 5 and 3 is 15. So that's where I got that. And then m squared, I need to have that for them both to, the lowest common denominator has to include m squared. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the first fraction by 3m squared, top and bottom. We're going to multiply the second fraction by 5. And when we do that, we're going to get the same denominator on both fractions. So now we get 21m squared over 15m squared minus 10 over 15m squared. Now that we have the same denominators here, we can actually combine this into one thing. So 21m squared minus 10 all over 15m squared. Okay, so now what we have here is 21m squared minus 10 being divided by okay, at this point, okay, I'm going to write this step by step. You can just start canceling stuff out, or you can just write it this way. So divided by 21m squared minus 10 all over 15m squared. So this becomes 21m squared minus 10, and then you change this to multiplication and flip the second fraction. So it becomes 21m squared minus 10. So then this here cancels this, and you're left with 15m squared as your final answer. Okay? And you can even imagine this part in brackets if you want. That might make it a little bit easier to see how we canceled that. But this is the same as this, so I can just cancel them. So our final answer is 15m squared. Okay, so that is another example. So, and there's more that you can try out. And so yeah, so that is simplifying complex fractions.